All right, welcome back. It's the second week of May. We had gotten, and we try to answer all of these requests. We really pride ourselves on trying to be as open and honest and informative as we can. And Elizabeth Patrick had asked a question last week about bail reform that is going through the legislature up in Columbia. So I wish, Elizabeth, that I had better news for you. Without getting too much in the weeds, people will draft a bill. It'll look like a great bill. The prosecutors and your elected prosecutors across the state will all get together and weigh in and say, hey, this one looks pretty good. It could be better, but man, that's great. It'll go from the House to the Senate. The Senate will change stuff, send it back to the House. They'll change stuff, and all of that goes on. I say all that to say, when that bill started out, it looked okay. It looked like something that we could work with. That last thing that our senators are bragging on is not good. It is not good at all. In fact, it is the way it's written. You would have to be in jail on a violent crime, get out of on bond, and get rearrested multiple times with guns before they would say to the magistrate, you can't set that bond anymore, it's got to go to the circuit court. But they stripped all of the penalties out of it. There was a penalty of 5 years for being rearrested on a crime that involved a gun while you were out on bail. The Senate pulled that part out, sent it back down. It's basically a worthless bill. It's something that can go on the books, and it may involve 1 or 2% of what we deal with here in Horry County. I think it's a reason for them to get around and hit the stump, maybe raise money, get more votes, and say, hey, we reformed bail. And that happens all the time. But if you will read it, it is unworkable. It is, a lot of words, but very little action, very little that is going to curtail people from getting rearrested and getting in trouble. I talked with our local delegation about it, and I think without any of the wording or any real huge changes, my suggestion to them was, why don't we revoke by an act of you getting rearrested, revoke the former bonds and have the magistrate set bonds on the last thing you were out on and the new thing that you've gotten charged with, and that would force them to see, look, it's very hard for you, Mr. Defendant, to live in this world. Every week you're getting rearrested for something else, and that pretty much puts it up front. And part of the reason, I'm not suggesting that they don't know about the other bonds, but as in your comment, one bond may be made by the city of Conway, another one may be made by the city of Myrtle Beach, and then the third is out for a county bond. And sometimes it just takes, I'm not one of these guys that would sit there and say, let people sit in jail before it's been proven that they've done anything. But sometimes you just got to cool your heels for a minute and say, hey, let's self-reflect. In the last 6 months, I've been arrested 5 times. Maybe I need to sit up here until I can walk the streets or do something without getting arrested. Maybe there's something that I'm doing wrong. But that's where common sense comes into it, and it doesn't feel that common. A long answer to a really short question, but the bail reform bill, we're better off if it doesn't pass and we stick with what we've got, because what we really don't want is to be able to take what has become a hot button issue, sit it to the side by way of trick, and say we fixed all of that. It'll take you a while to figure out that it wasn't fixed. It was just a meaningless bill that passed through, and it's not going to do very much good. But that's always what you're sort of dealing with, this idea that a person is innocent until proven guilty, and holding people on a bond or a bail that haven't been proven, that it hasn't been proven that they're guilty. The system itself has worked for a long time because that has never been the standard. We're not trying to convict you at a bond hearing. We're trying to say, are you a danger to the community based on whether or not you can stay unarrested for a few weeks. So, you know, it's really a change in the mindsets of the judges, but it's not going to do a lot of good. So hopefully it won't pass, and something closer to the first version will come through and make its way into our law. This one with no additional penalties and really only affecting you if you've gotten arrested multiple times and always had a gun. It probably ain't going to affect that many. We'll be back next week, and if you've got any other questions that we need to talk about, leave them in the comments or call us and let us know what you need, what you're looking to hear something on, and we'll try to answer it for you. Have a great week.